Ladies and gentlemen, it's the Stephanie Miller Show.
I'm walking on sunshine. Whoa, I'm walking on sunshine. Whoa, and I feel good. Hey, all right now. And I feel good.
Oh, the Stephanie Miller Show apologizes in advance for the Stephanie Miller Show today, as I am suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder
From what?
due to spending my vacation in the Deep South with my Republican relatives.
Oh, dear.
We'll get to that in a moment. In the meantime, people across the country, kids, will gather on April 4th for a day of action in support of workers. Learn more about events in your community at www.aprildayofAction.com.
Yes.
Check it out, solidarity! I got to speak to the Boilermakers Union in D.C. while I was on vacation.
Did they make
Salt
some?
of the earth, fine folks.
Did they make some boilers for you?
Not that kind of Boilermaker.
Oh,
It's an
okay.
actual boiler, like in a ship or a
Right.
thing or a place.
That's what I was asking.
Oh, I thought you meant the drink Boilermaker.
Well, no, I
that's
just
entirely
I
different.
naturally assumed that you had Boilermakers with them.
I told them that I grew up in Lockport, New York, which was built by Harrison Radiator. I'm like, Radiator? Like a boiler? Yes? No? Help me out.
Kinda.
That's what they said.
Yeah.
Not really, idiot. Chris!
What?
I then went to Charlotte, North Carolina, where, as you know, my 88-year-old Republican mother and my Republican brother, who hung me when I was a child, live.
Yes.
And I think it's important to mention at this point that my mom's bird masturbates to Fox News.
Yeah.
Now, in all fairness, I had been warned about this because if anything could be compared to your 88-year-old Republican mother who raised you Catholic, explaining to you how her bird masturbates, I don't know what's more disturbing. In my personal, she sort of did what he does with his arms, except she had trouble with the word. She's like, "Oh, Steffi, what's the word? Masturbate." I was
Yeah,
like, "Oh, I don't.
Republicans-
Wow, this is going to be years of therapy now." And
Yeah.
As I previously said, my mom, at her age, she sits very. If she were any closer to Glenn Beck, it would be Poltergeist. She would be in the TV, spooning with Glenn Beck. So the Fox News on all the time. And the bird, lovebird, it's a lovebird named Pretty Boy.
Huh.
And because you know what, many people have asked me how does a bird masturbate? Because you think, oh, no hands, no opposable thumbs.
Right.
Well, let me explain. He has a colorful chain, a colorful sort of rubber. You know, they have lots of sort of colorful bird toys in there. And so he has a chain that he sits on. It's like a rubber chain. It's a perch. You know, it's like
A perch,
yeah.
yes. That's a chain.
Oh, it's also the chain that he regurgitates his food on and then eats it again. By the way, the cage right next to the dinner table, so that's already.
Well,
And so, anyway, what happens is he sort of gets going on the chain. He just sort of, here I'm doing it. If you're watching Ustream, so you can see he does this. He rocks into the thing with his, he pushes his little, into the chain. It's not a chain, it's a rubber thing, whatever. Anyway, he just starts, and then he does this thing, now you'll have to be on Ustream to see, he raises his little, what are they, wings above his head and goes, and then kind of just lays on the chain exhausted. To Fox News. So, I've just come from a world, Chris, by the way, discussing politics wherein Ann Coulter is cute and funny.
Yeah.
Michelle Malkin's brilliant. And I
Stephanie Miller.
am, I've gotten too partisan and mean. I'm not funny anymore.
You're a disgrace.
Yes, that's the world that I've just, that I've come from.
Huh.
And so, how was your vacation?
Oh, it was fine. It was fine. I did a lot of relaxing, which I needed to do.
Screw you.
What?
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I say that on the air? Do
Sorry.
you see what I brought with me, you streamers? Look, it's my Harris Teeter. It's my Harris
Your
Teeter.
camera is frozen at this moment,
Oh,
so yeah.
It's my receipt from Harris Teeter, because what was my first trip upon arriving at my Republican mother's?
To go to Harris Teeter for wine.
To get some booze. Just I thought things might get better. Do you see what it says here? I highlighted it. It says cashier has bypassed the age validation. So I didn't even get, because normally they give me a pity carding.
No.
Yeah.
No.
She just looked at me and said, yeah. All right. Oh, by the way, I did get lost once because I always get lost, and then I just go door to door and ask everybody if they're my mommy, and I just, until someone says yes. Yes, I am. Anyway, I got lost, and
In Charlotte.
and I went to the friendly neighborhood fire station, and I said, I'm from LA, and I lost my mommy. Can you help me? And I said, it's by the Harris Teeter. And she goes, which one? There's like 3. There's one on every block in the South. I'm like, oh, I don't. She was kind of hot. I want to make a little action of my mom's. Okay. Let's. All right.
Oh, my God.
So I apologize for anything that might come out of my mouth today. All right. Let's dive into the live right-wing world, shall we, with our good friend, Eric Bollard. Eric Bollard from Media Matters for America, doing the Lord's work. As usual.
Eric Bollard. Eric Bollard.
Let's dive into the right-wing world. I don't know what that means. Eric Bollard from Media Matters, whom we love.
Bollard.
I apologize for that little story, Eric.
That was the strangest intro I've ever had.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
can imagine.
Yeah. Yeah. No, people think I'm kidding. No, seriously, my mom's bird, Eric. Seriously, I'll send you a picture. Okay.
Don't you dare.
Oh, by the way, Eric, it's a world where apparently Sarah Palin is the most qualified candidate we've ever had.
Interesting.
Oh my God.
Okay, so you write a great piece about Sarah Palin this week. Yeah, it's this media bias thing that she keeps repeating. And then she used as examples, they were biased against Abraham Lincoln and Ronald Reagan.
Yeah. Well, she went on Hannity, I think, last week. And she sort of announced she was no longer going to critique the press. It was a waste of time, and everyone was dumbfounded.
Oh, I'm
because
relieved.
That's basically her calling in life. I mean, that's what she does, is play the victim and lash out at the lamestream media. And so then she went to Facebook, of course, to sort of flesh out her thoughts. And she used the jumping off point that, of course, the press is biased. Of course, there's a liberal media. And just to quickly prove her point, she noted that Abraham Lincoln was occasionally mocked and ridiculed in the press 150 years ago.
Yes.
And that Ronald Reagan got bad press, but she noted, but he was still able to win 2 landslide victories. So, what Abraham Lincoln has to do with today's liberal media, I'm not quite sure. And as I pointed out, every president who's ever been elected has been mocked and ridiculed in the press at some point. And Ronald Reagan won those 2 landslides because
So she torpedoed her own argument, right?
he got glowing press coverage for years and years.
Yeah.
And there's a great book called On Bended Knee that details all that.
Yeah.
So she's
Well, and also Lincoln, probably not the same rapid response in those days. You had to go get an inkwell and some parchment and a pen to write anything bad about him. So probably.
And there was something called the Civil War going on, so feelings were running high.
Yes. And then once again, we've talked about this over and over, but you write, as Palin falls in the polls, National Journal claims she's on the rise. A new CNN poll shows among Republicans and Republican-leaning voters, only 12% want her to be the party's presidential nominee.
Which puts her in a statistical tie with the Donald.
Yes.
So, I mean, she's gone from, 8 or 10 months ago, this superstar status, to now being tied with a TV host.
Well, I was going to say she's neck and neck with the other reality TV star, so,
Right. But National Journal, which is sort of a big deal inside the Beltway, they did their annual, not annual, it might even be weekly or monthly roundup of potential Republican candidates and where they stand, and they announced that Sarah Palin was on the rise. And you're like, her polling numbers can't get any lower, but folks within the Beltway are still clinging to this belief that she has a legitimate chance.
Because it's a story. Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Now, this is the worst news for my Republican mom. But Glenn Beck, my sibling, What? She seriously, she defends him more than me, I'll have you know.
Great.
Eric, this is my life. Oh, you remember the last time I got on Glenn's his crazy website and I got all these death threats?
Yeah, the Blaze. Uh-huh.
Yeah, that was my fault, Eric, because apparently I've gotten too serious and not funny. So I think if one of his crazy fans shot me, but not killed, just winged me, my
Yeah.
mom would still defend him. Oh, well, she had it coming. She's just not funny. That'll wake her up.
Yeah.
So they must
I
be
don't know that my
terrified
mom would say that. I'm just saying.
They must be terrified, this notion that he might not be back at Fox next year.
Well, I was just going to say, this is the worst news. My mother, if I get fired, who cares? But if Glenn back, you have the keeping score of the Beck/Fox News media breakup. Do tell.
Yeah, well, it's interesting. I mean, this started a couple of weeks ago. The New York Times reported, Fox might be preparing for, life without Glenn Beck mostly because I think he's a pain in the neck for the channel, and there are folks inside the newsroom who think he's an embarrassment, and also, they basically can't find advertisers to fill his time slot. So. And so then Glenn Beck's team answered in the Times last week that maybe he'll just leave and start his own news channel. And by the way, he's going to poach this bigwig Fox News executive.
Yep.
And then the Fox News team responded in the press saying, that guy, nobody cares about that guy anyway. Roger Ailes doesn't even like him. So there's this great sniping going back and forth that's very amusing to watch as the Beck camp and the Fox News PR camp sort of square off and try to prepare for this post Glenn Beck world and try to determine the winner and the loser and the whole thing.
Eric, can my mom buy advertising? Because I think I'm sure she would part with whatever's left of my inheritance in order to keep Glenn Beck on the air. Anyway, you're right. He's lost 30% of total viewership, nearly 40% of the 25-54 demo, and advertisers 400, closing in on 400 advertisers that are boycotting. Correct?
Yeah, and he was on vacation a couple of weeks ago, and Judge Napolitano filled in, and basically the ratings for 5 o'clock were the same. So if you're Fox News and you're looking at the book, and you're saying, okay, he's getting decent ratings, he's getting good ratings in terms of cable news, even though he's lost a big chunk from his high. Why not go with a host who might not scare away every conceivable blue chip advertiser in America? I mean, they're not monetizing the show. They have this symbolic hollow victory, but Rupert Murdoch traditionally is not in the business of symbolic hollow victories.
You know who else that happened to, Chris?
Who?
Bill O'Reilly in radio.
Yeah.
Just ratings weren't really showing. Wasn't monetizing, as they say, Eric, from what they were paying him and the ratings he was getting on radio.
No.
Here's a fun fact for you. Al Franken used to routinely beat him in many markets in radio. I'd like to know that. All right, let's dive into the right-wing world quickly, because I got to give you, you know what? Republicans, irony deficient, Eric. This is too good. I have to give you an appetizer. You've been so good. Donald Rumsfeld on ABC's This Week. Wait for it. This is why Obama's Libya policy is confusing.
If you go into something with it, confusion and ambiguity about what the mission is, and we've heard 4 or 5 different explanations about why we're there.
Huh.
And that is the root of the problem, is the confusion that comes from that. Confusion about what the mission is, confusion about who the rebels are, confusion about whether or not Gaddafi should be left in power, confusion about what the command and control should be.
Wow.
And without any apparent sense of irony,
None
Eric.
whatsoever. I mean, can you imagine? I mean, is no one sitting in the production meeting or even sitting in the control room while Rumsfeld saying this, saying, wow, that's kind of funny. I mean, it's like an SNL skit. Let's have Donald Rumsfeld in to explain confused foreign policy initiatives and military action.
Do they not have montage makers like we do, Chris? Could they not play a montage of the cavalcade of reasons we were in Iraq? All right. Eric Boehlert remains in the sidecar while we continue Right Wing World. 20 minutes after the hour, Eric Boehlert Joins us for Right Wing World as we continue on the Stephanie Miller Show.
I got her number off the men's room stall. 1-800-STEP-12. Stephanie Miller.
I'm a bitch, I'm a lover, I'm a child, I'm a mother, I'm a sinner, I'm a saint. I do not feel ashamed. I'm your help, I'm your dream. I'm nothing in between. You know you wouldn't want it any other way.
Ha! It is the Stephanie Miller Show. Rude Pundit coming up after the bottom of the hour. Eric Bollard rejoins us from Media Matters for America. Oh, by the way, Eric,
Yeah.
I was able to wrest a promise from my Republican brother that he will read Blinded by the Right,
Oh, good for him.
the fabulous David Brock book. All right, let's, oh boy. Boy, they've gone all birther on our ass, Eric.
Yeah.
Sean Hannity.
Donald Trump brought up the issue of the birth certificate, and it's getting huge buzz around the country. Why can't they just release the birth certificate, and just move on?
Wow.
Just move on. I love that part.
Yeah.
Wow.
We're on what, year 3? I love the right wing spin on this. The whole Trump thing has been fascinating because apparently Donald Trump is now the voice of the common man.
Yes.
So if he talks, about birtherism, it's creating a buzz, and the tide has turned, and we're all birthers now because Donald Trump is gibbering, gibberish about it. So it's kind of, I mean, they're so desperate. But in a way, the return of birtherism is completely inevitable.
Yep.
Because there's nothing else left on the shelf for them to use.
Yep, exactly. And, leave it to Steve Ducey to toddle along behind Sean.
We should also point out that the campaign did produce, before the election,